Not tonight, Carlos. I have a headache. My name is Carlos, and I'm 34 years old. I work as a shift supervisor at Haller Design, a manufacturing company in Phoenix, Arizona. My wife Isabella had been saying those same words for 3 months straight. 3 months of turning. A way of sudden migraines, of finding excuses to sleep in the guest room. I stood in our bedroom doorway, watching her brush her hair at the vanity. She avoided my eyes in the mirror. The woman I married 5 years ago used to pull me close when I got home from work. Now she flinched when I touched her shoulder. Isabella, we need to talk about this. About what? She sat down the brush too quickly. Her hand trembled. About us. About whatever is happening here. She turned to face me, and for a second I saw something in her eyes. Fear, maybe, or guilt. But then she smiled. That practiced smile she had been wearing lately. Nothing is happening, Carlos. I'm just tired from work. Isabella worked as a receptionist at Glenfield Electric downtown. Same job she had held for 2 years. Same hours, same routine. Yet suddenly she was exhausted every evening. You have been tired for 3 months. I made an appointment with Dr. Martinez next week. Maybe I need vitamins or something. I nodded, but something cold settled in my chest. The way she said it felt rehearsed, like she had been planning that answer. That night, I lay awake listening to her breathe in the darkness. When had she started sleeping so deeply? When had she stopped talking in her sleep? When had my wife become a stranger? The next morning, I found her in the bathroom at 6 a.m. bent over the toilet. She did not hear me coming up the stairs. Isabella, she jerked upright, wiping her mouth with the back of her hand. Carlos, you scared me. Are you sick? Something I ate last night. The Chinese food was probably bad, but we had eaten the same meal. I felt fine. She brushed past me, already dressed for work. I need to leave early today. Big client meeting. I watched her grab her purse and keys. In 5 years of marriage, Isabella had never mentioned a single client by name. Glenfield Electric was not that kind of business. After she left, I stood in our kitchen drinking coffee from the mug she bought me for our 3rd anniversary. It sighed, world's best husband, in fading letters. The irony was not lost on me. Something was wrong. Every instinct I had was screaming it, but I needed proof before I acted. I had no idea how wrong things really were. I met Isabella at my cousin Miguel's wedding 6 years ago. She was a friend of the bride, laughing at something my aunt had said. When she smiled, her whole face lit up. I knew I wanted to know her better. Our courtship was simple. Dinner dates, weekend drives to Sedona, quiet evenings watching movies. She was 26 then, working part-time while finishing her business degree. I was 29, already established at Haller Design, ready to build something with someone. We married in a small ceremony at St. Augustine Cathedral. Her parents flew in from Tucson. My family filled 3 pews. Isabella wore my grandmother's pearl necklace and cried during our vows. The first 3 years were good. We bought the house on Maple Street with the help of my father, who worked construction his whole life and taught me the value of owning something solid. Isabella planted roses in the front yard. I built her a garden shed in the back. We talked about children. Not immediately, but someday. Isabella wanted to establish her career first. I respected that. We had time. But this year, things shifted in ways I could not name. Small things at first. She stopped asking about my day, stopped leaving notes in my lunchbox, started working late twice a week, then 3 times. When I suggested dinner at Romano's, our favorite Italian place, she said she was not in the mood for heavy food. When I bought tickets to see the Diamondbacks play, she remembered a work commitment. When my sister Victoria invited us to Sunday dinner, Isabella suddenly had plans with her college friend Sophia. The intimacy disappeared gradually, then all at once. First, she was too tired, then too stressed, then too busy planning for some undefined future goal. What goal? I had asked 2 weeks ago. Just things, Carlos. You would not understand. That stung. In 5 years, she had never dismissed me like that. I started paying attention to details. Her phone always face down now. her schedule suddenly unpredictable. Her clothes newer and more expensive than her salary should allow. Last Wednesday, she came home smelling like cologne. Not mine. When I asked about it, she said the elevator at work was broken and she had to share a ride with a coworker named David. David from accounting. No, David from the warehouse. But Glenfield Electric did not have a warehouse. I knew because I had dropped off Isabella's forgotten lunch there once. The building was strictly offices. The lie sat between us like a third person at dinner. That night, she slept in the guest room again. Said she did. Not one to disturb me with her tossing and turning. I was starting to realize my wife was a stranger. The question was, who had she become? The truth hit me on a Thursday afternoon in early October. I was organizing our filing cabinet, looking for the warranty papers. On our refrigerator when I found the receipt. It was tucked behind our insurance documents, folded small like someone had tried to hide it. Planned Parenthood, Phoenix location, dated 6 weeks ago. My hands went cold. The receipt was for a pregnancy test and consultation. Positive result documented in small clinical handwriting. 6 weeks ago was right around the time Isabella stopped wanting me to touch her. I sat on our bed, staring at that piece of paper. Everything suddenly made sense. The morning sickness she tried to hide. The sudden aversion to wine with dinner. The way she had been protecting her stomach when she hugged me goodbye. My wife was pregnant, but we had not been intimate in 3 months. The math was simple and brutal. Isabella was carrying another man's child. I did not yell. I did not throw anything. I just sat there, letting the realities settle into my bones. The woman I loved, the woman I had built a life with, had betrayed me in the deepest way possible, and she was planning to pass off another man's baby as mine. I thought about confronting her immediately, demanding answers, making her admit what she had done, but something stopped me. Maybe it was pride, maybe it was strategy, or maybe I just needed time to figure out how to breathe again. Instead, I put the receipt back exactly where I found it. That evening, Isabella came home with Chinese takeout and acted like nothing had changed. She even suggested we watch a movie together. "How was your day?" she asked, settling next to me on the couch. "Fine," I said. "How was yours?" "Busy. Dr. Martinez wants to run some tests next week. Just routine stuff." I nodded and smiled, but inside I was already planning. If Isabella thought she could manipulate me, she was wrong. If she thought I would raise another man's child without knowing the truth, she was wrong about that too. I had always been patient. It was one of my strengths. Isabella used to say it was what she loved most about me, how I thought things through before acting. She was about to learn just how patient I could be. Over the next few days, I watched her carefully. The way she touched her stomach when she thought I was not looking. The way she declined coffee in the morning. The way she made excuses to avoid anything physical between us. She was buying time, waiting for the right moment to spring her surprise on me. I decided to let her, but I was going to be ready with a surprise of my own. The game had begun, and Isabella had no idea I was already 3 moves ahead. 2 weeks after finding the receipt, I made my first move. "Isabella, I have been thinking about what you said about starting a family." She looked up from her plate of eggs, fork halfway to her mouth. We were having breakfast on a Saturday morning, something we had not done in months. "What about it? Maybe we should stop waiting. Maybe we should try now." The color drained from her face. She sat down her fork carefully like it might break. "Now, Carlos, I thought we agreed to wait until I get that." "Promotion. What promotion? You never mentioned a promotion." She fidgeted with her napkin. "Well, it is not official yet, but Mr. Johnson hinted that there might be an opening in management soon." Another lie. I called Glenfield Electric on Friday pretending to be a vendor. There was no Mr. Johnson. The company had 12 employees total, all of whom I could name. How long do you think that will take? I do not know. Maybe 6 months, maybe longer. 6 months. Right around the time her pregnancy would become impossible to hide. "I think we should try now," I pressed. "We are not getting any younger." Isabella stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the kitchen tile. I need to shower. Sophia and I are going shopping today. What time will you be back? I do not know. Late. After she left, I sat in my truck in the driveway for 20 minutes thinking. Then I drove to the public library on Central Avenue and used their computer. I researched private investigators, divorce attorneys, DNA testing procedures. I took notes on a legal pad, writing everything in my careful handwriting. By the time Isabella came home that evening, I had a plan. How was shopping? I asked. Good. Sophia helped me pick out some new work clothes. She showed me a bag from Target. 3 loose-fitting blouses and a pair of pants with an elastic waistband. Maternity clothes disguised as regular clothing. They look nice, I said. That night, she slept in our bed. For the first time in weeks. She even let me hold her, though she tensed when I touched her stomach. Carlos. Yes. Do you ever think about the future? About what you want our life to look like all the time. What do you see? I was quiet for a long moment. I see honesty, I said finally. I see too. People who trust each other completely. She was silent after that. The next Monday, I took a half-day off work and drove to downtown Phoenix. I met with an attorney named Patricia Hoffman who specialized in family law. She was in her 50s with gray hair and kind eyes that had probably seen every kind of betrayal. I need to know my options, I told her. She listened while I explained the situation, the pregnancy, the timeline, the lies. Do you want to save your marriage? She asked. I want to know the truth first. She nodded. Get the DNA test, but be smart about it. Do not let her know you suspect anything until you have proof. What about the timing? If she is 6 weeks along, DNA testing can be done as early as 9 weeks through a simple blood draw, non-invasive. She would never know unless she specifically looked for it on her. Medical records. I left her office with business cards and pamphlets, everything I needed to protect myself legally. But first, I needed to let Isabella play her hand. That evening, she was unusually affectionate. She made my favorite dinner, beef stew with cornbread. She asked about my day and actually listened to the answer. I love you, Carlos, she said as we cleaned up the kitchen. I love you too. It was the truth, which made everything harder. I still love the woman I married, but that woman might have been a lie from the beginning. 3 days later, Isabella made an announcement. I'm going to visit my sister Elena in Tucson this weekend. She is having some problems with her marriage. Isabella did not have a sister named Elena. She had one sister, Patricia, who lived in Sacramento and had been happily married. For 8 years. How long will you be gone? Just Saturday and Sunday. I will drive down Saturday morning and come back Sunday evening. I nodded like I believed her. Give Elena my best. That Saturday, I followed her. I felt like a character in one of those television shows. Isabella liked to watch, staying 3 cars back on Interstate 10, wearing sunglasses and a baseball cap like some kind of amateur detective. Isabella did not drive to Tucson. She drove 20 minutes to a subdivision in Tempe and parked outside a modest ranch house on Elm Street. A man came out to meet her. Tall, athletic build, dark hair. He kissed her in the driveway like he had been waiting for her. I parked across the street and took pictures with my phone. The license plate on his red pickup truck. The house number. The way. Isabella melted into his arms like she belonged there. They went inside together. I waited 2 hours, then drove home. That evening, I researched the address. The house belonged to someone named James Rodriguez, age 36, employed as a contractor with Morrison Construction. No wife listed in the public records, no children. Isabella came home Sunday evening with shopping bags from Tucson outlets and stories about Elena's marriage troubles. She is thinking about counseling, Isabella said, unpacking a new scarf. I told her it might help. Did you tell her about us? About our plans to start a family? Isabella hesitated for just a second. No, the timing did not seem right. Monday morning, I called in sick to work and drove back to Tempe. I waited across from the Elm Street house until James Rodriguez left at 7:30 a.m., then I followed him. He stopped at a coffee shop on University Drive. I went in after him and ordered a coffee. 2 people behind him in line. He was on his phone talking quietly. I caught fragments of conversation, told her husband she wants to start trying. Couple more weeks until she can tell him. My coffee tasted like ash. I left it on the counter and walked out. The picture was becoming clearer. Isabella and James had a timeline. She would string me along for a few more weeks, then announce her pregnancy as a happy surprise. By then, she would be far enough along that the dates would seem reasonable. I would be expected to celebrate, to be excited about becoming a father, to start planning for our future together. Meanwhile, I would be raising James Rodriguez's child and never know the truth, unless I stopped at first. That afternoon, I made appointments. First with a private investigator named Robert Kane, who specialized in infidelity cases, then with a DNA testing lab that offered discreet services. How soon can you get results? I asked the lab technician. Once we have the samples, 48 hours for standard paternity testing. And you can do this without the mother knowing, as long as you are the legal husband and can provide samples from yourself and the child, yes. But the child had not been born yet, and I needed proof before Isabella made her announcement. I had one option left. It was risky, but it was the only way to get ahead of her timeline. I was going to make Isabella think I suspected nothing while gathering enough evidence to destroy her story completely. The opportunity came the following Thursday. Isabella had another late work meeting scheduled. I knew now that meant another visit to James Rodriguez. This time I was ready. I had spent the week preparing. Robert Kane, the private investigator, provided me with a GPS tracker smaller than a quarter. I attached it to Isabella's car while she showered that morning. I also installed software on our shared laptop that would track her internet activity, and I opened a separate bank account under my name only. When Isabella left for her meeting, I gave her a 10-minute head start, then began following the GPS signal on my phone. She drove straight to the Elm Street house. I parked 4 blocks away and walked back, staying in the shadows. Through the front window, I could see them together on the couch. Isabella's head on his shoulder, his hand resting on her stomach. They looked like a couple planning their future. My future, the one being stolen from me. I took photos from multiple angles, clear shots of their faces, timestamps proving when Isabella was supposed to be at work. Then I walked back to my truck and called Robert Kane. I need you to run a full background check on James Rodriguez, I said. Employment history, previous relationships, financial records, everything. How deep do you want me to go? Deep enough to know who I'm dealing with. The next morning, Isabella was unusually quiet at breakfast. She picked at her toast and kept checking her phone. Everything okay? I asked. Fine, just tired. Maybe you should take a day off, rest up. She looked up sharply. Why would you say that? You have been working so hard. Lately, all those late meetings. They are important for my career, Carlos. I know. I am proud of you. The lie came easily now. I was learning to match her deception with my own. That afternoon, Robert Kane called with preliminary results. Your wife's boyfriend has an interesting history, he said. 3 previous relationships that ended badly. 2 domestic disturbance calls to his address in the past 5 years, and he is currently unemployed. Unemployed, but I saw him leave for work. He was laid off from Morrison Construction 6 weeks ago. Outstanding child support payments to an ex-girlfriend in Flagstaff. He is behind on his mortgage by 3 months. 6 weeks ago, right around the time Isabella got pregnant. Send me everything you have, I said. That evening, Isabella announced she was going to make dinner reservations for Saturday night. Somewhere special, she said. I have something I want to tell you. Good news, I hope. She smiled that practice smile. Very good news. Saturday. That gave me 2 days to make my final preparations. I spent Friday afternoon at the DNA testing lab, learning exactly what I would need. A hair sample from Isabella would be enough to confirm paternity once the baby was born, but I needed something more immediate. The lab technician, a woman named Dr. Stevens, explained my options. If your wife is willing to take a non-invasive prenatal paternity test, we can have results in 72 hours. It requires a simple blood draw and a cheek swab from the potential father. What if she is not willing? Then you wait until the baby is born. But given what you have told me about the circumstances, I would recommend getting legal advice about how to handle the revelation. I already had legal advice. Patricia Hoffman had been very clear about what I needed to do to protect myself. Saturday morning, I made one final call to Robert Kane. I need a complete dossier on James Rodriguez by tonight, I said. Photos, employment records, criminal background, everything. Can you do it? Consider it done. Isabella had no idea that her perfect plan was about to collapse. Saturday evening, Isabella chose Romano's for dinner, the same Italian restaurant where we had our first date 6 years ago. She wore a new blue dress and had her hair done at the salon. She looked beautiful and nervous, like a woman about to change her life. We ordered our usual dishes. Chicken parmesan for her, lasagna for me. She barely touched her food. Carlos, I have something wonderful to tell you. What is it? She reached across the table and took my hand. Her palm was damp with perspiration. We are going to have a baby. I looked surprised, shocked even. Are you serious? I took the test yesterday. We are pregnant, Carlos. After all this time trying, it finally happened. The lie was so smooth, so practiced. She had probably rehearsed it for weeks. Isabella, that is incredible. When did this happen? When are you due? The doctor thinks I'm about 6 weeks along, so the baby should come in late spring. 6 weeks? Right on schedule. I stood up and kissed her forehead. This is the best news ever. We should celebrate. I already ordered champagne, she said. Well, sparkling cider for me. The waiter brought the drinks. Isabella raised her glass, beaming. To our future, she said. To our future, I agreed. Then I reached into my jacket pocket and placed a manila envelope on the table between us. What is this? Isabella asked. Open it. Her hands trembled as she lifted the flap. Inside were photographs. Isabella and James Rodriguez kissing in his driveway. Isabella and James Rodriguez through the window of his house. Isabella's car parked outside his address on 3 different occasions. Also included James Rodriguez's employment record showing he had been laid off, his criminal background check, his outstanding child support obligations, and at the bottom, a DNA testing authorization form with my signature already in place. Isabella's face went white. The envelope slipped from her fingers. Photographs scattering across the table. Carlos, I can explain. Can you explain how you got pregnant during the 3 months we have not been intimate? Can you explain why you have been lying about working late? Can you explain James Rodriguez? She opened her mouth, but no words came. I already know everything, Isabella. The only question now is whether you want to handle this quietly or make it complicated. Isabella tried to run. She made it to the parking lot before breaking down completely. I found her sitting on the curb beside her car, sobbing into her hands. I never meant for this to happen, she said. Which part? The affair or getting caught? She looked up at me with red eyes. I thought I could make it work. I thought you would never find out. You thought I was stupid? No, Carlos. I thought I was smarter. The divorce papers were filed the following Monday. Patricia Hoffman had prepared everything in advance. Isabella moved out that same week, taking only her personal belongings. James Rodriguez tried to contact me once, claiming Isabella had told him we were already separated. I hung up on him. The baby was born in May. Isabella tried to keep me from the DNA test, but I had legal rights as the husband. The results confirmed what I already knew. James Rodriguez's son, not mine. Isabella and James lasted 8 months after the divorce was finalized. She discovered he had been lying about his job prospects and had 2 other women he was seeing regularly. She called me crying one evening, saying she had made the biggest mistake of her life. I listened politely, then hung up. 6 months later, I sold the house on Maple Street and moved to a smaller place in Scottsdale. I kept working at Halerd Design, got promoted to floor manager, and started taking evening classes at Phoenix Community College. Isabella found work as a waitress in Tucson and struggled to make ends meet. James Rodriguez disappeared when the child support payments for his first child caught up with him. She was left raising a baby alone, working double shifts, and living in a studio apartment. The roses she planted in our front yard died the summer after she left. I had stopped watering them. Sometimes the truth is the only justice we get, but it is enough.